Europe and America are at war. Now, don't worry, it's not a literal shooting war, but as of last Friday, these two powers were engaged in a trade war. At the start of the month, the US put tariffs on steel and aluminium made in the EU. They also hit Canada and Mexico with tariffs. And on Friday, Europe struck back. They put tariffs on a list of American products. Their list basically looks like they just sat down and thought of the first half a dozen or so stereotypically American products that came to their mind. It's tariffs on things like Kentucky bourbon, Harley-Davidson motorbikes, denim jeans. So who cares? Why does it matter if US bourbon is a little bit more expensive in Europe, especially when we can just buy scotch, which is better? Well, trade wars can start small, but they can easily spiral. Already, US President Donald Trump is talking about a new tariff of about 20% on European cars.
But the European Union, of course, was set up to take advantage of the United States, to attack our piggy bank, right? And you know what?
And the Bible has a lot to say about trade war. I wrote about this in the May-June issue of the Trumpet magazine. And as I said in there, I think the US could have some short-term success here. We made a video earlier in the year talking about how dependent Germany is on selling goods to America. That gives the US a lot of leverage. Germany's just very dependent on being able to sell to America. But in the longer term, the Bible warns about the dangers of a trade war. God says that He is at the core of America's economic success. And He warns America that He will take that economic success and prosperity away if the nation does not obey Him. Isaiah chapter 23 warns about a mart of nations. This mart, it makes clear, includes both Europe and China. And we can see both of these nations as part of this tariff war with the United States right now. Other scriptures make it clear that these two powers are going to cut the United States off from the global economic system. For more on all of this, you can read that article that I mentioned, Spiraling into Trade War, from the May-June edition of the Trumpet magazine, and you can find that on our website, thetrumpet.com. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Angela Merkel continues to fight for her political life. Over 16 European countries met over the weekend to talk about migration. Now, and there was a strong push in these discussions towards setting up centers for migrants in North Africa, camps for migrants in places like Libya, sending more of those migrants there. And there are a few different proposals out there. There's still a lot that needs to be worked out, but the UN's Refugee Agency has already offered to set up some of these facilities, according to a confidential letter seen by the EU Observer. Other proposals call for a much stronger and more beefed up EU border force, and putting this beefed up border force together much more quickly, and these would detain and return incoming refugees. Now, it's not clear if this is going to be enough to save Ms. Merkel. These are long-term solutions. She has less than a week. But what all these solutions do is they draw Europe much deeper into Africa. And the Bible forecasts a clash between Europe and radical Islam, and it makes clear that this clash will include North Africa. Libya is mentioned by name in this passage in Daniel chapter 11 that talks about this clash. And you can read much more about that in our free booklet, The King of the South, also available at our website, thetrumpet.com. But for such a clash, Europe needs a military. Preferably a united military where they can all work together, and they're working on that too. There are quite a lot of different plans for a combined military, but one more was set up this week. 9 European countries signed a letter of intent to create a joint military intervention force. Their aim is to deploy quickly in times of crisis, and they set it up kind of semi-detached to the European Union because they're frustrated with how slowly the European Union moves. They want it to move much more quickly. Now, there are 9 countries signing up, but one of them is the UK. Again, leaving the European Union. They want some way to keep working with European militaries even once they have quit that union. Now, where this specific military initiative will lead, I don't know. But it is interesting that you see so many of these initiatives. Europe is just searching for a way to get together militarily, and they've been trying one way after another to do that. They're trying with all of these smaller groups as well, so they can move much more quickly. Revelation chapter 17 describes 10 national leaders giving their strength and power to an overall empire. And that's why we're watching what is going on with military cooperation in Europe so closely. The Bible tells us a 10-nation united military is coming to Europe. You can read more on that in our Trends article, Why the Trumpet Watches Europe's Push Towards Militarization. And finally, we can't talk about the news this week in Germany without mentioning Germany's stunning World Cup defeat. Last World Cup's world champions failed to make it out of the group stages after a humiliating loss to South Korea on Wednesday. It's the first time that Germany has gone out of the first round of the World Cup since 1938. Now, sports news in general doesn't really affect world news, and in this case it's still true, but it does add to this general feeling of discouragement in Germany right now. The wheels are coming off everything, everywhere. Immigration is a problem, the economy, the euro's not fixed, the government can't get its act together, and even football, that Germany usually does perfectly, isn't working. You can read more on just about everything I've talked about today, except probably the World Cup, on our website, thetrumpet.com. Go there and you can also get a copy of our free book, The King of the South, that I mentioned earlier, as well as around 80 other free books and booklets. And you can also get a free subscription to our Trumpet magazine.